all these CSS features in one video. Are you looking to create a professional homepage website that stands out? In this episode, we're going to build a modern Code Dev Academy homepage website with a fully functional sidebar navigation system, and all is going to be from scratch. First, let's see a preview of how we're going to structure this website. I created the skeleton of the page using HTML, which I had this as the output. I move on to add flesh to it using CSS, then I had this. And for the final result, this is what I'm having. Watch to the end of this video because I promise you by the end of this video, you won't just walk away with a front page website, but with a skill you can reuse and build on for future projects. And also, if you want the source code to this project, the link is in the description box, or check my bio, you find it there. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button because in this channel, that's all we do. We build junior developers to senior developers with the aim of coding with confidence and landing your dream job. And watch till the end of this video because I'm about to spill everything out. So hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Here in the VS Code, we have the basic HTML tags here, which we have linked the HTML file to the CSS file, and we have a title of Code Dev homepage. Now here we have a folder called images, which contains our list of images here. We have the BG image and we have the logo image here. So back in the body tag, the first thing we're going to do in the body tag, we're going to create a section. So now this section here is going to have a class name of hero. And this hero section is going to be the whole body of the page. Everything we're going to work on is going to be within this our section. So now the first thing we're going to do in the section, we're going to create a navbar. So to create this navbar, we're going to start by creating a nav tag. So within this nav tag, we're going to insert an on other list items, which we have a link also. So the first list items, we're going to give it a text of home, which we have linked it to nothing. And we're going to copy it and we're going to paste it 4 times. So it actually depends on how many list items you want. But in this case, I'm only going to use 4 list items. So I'm going to change the second list items to have a text of about. Now the third list items is going to have a text of service and the fourth one is going to be help. So now we're done with the list items. Now we're going to come below it and create a div with a class name of btn, which is going to have 2 different buttons. The first button is going to have a text of sign in and the second button is going to have a text of sign out. So now we're done with the navbar. So this is actually what we're having, the list items and the 2 buttons. So let's head to the CSS and add flesh to it. So the first thing we do, we're going to give it the universal styling, which is going to be the margin of 0 and padding is going to be 0. Box sizing here now is going to be border box. And here we're going to give the list style to be none. Here in the HTML, we're going to target the hero, which is holding our navbar, our UL, and our btn. So we head back to the CSS. First, we target the hero, which we give it a dot hero. So the first thing we're going to give for the hero, we're going to give it the minimum height we want it to consume, which is 100 VH. So now this hero section is going to show the full screen of your screen you're using. It's either you're using a system or you're using a mobile phone or you're using a tab. So it's going to show the full screen of your device. So now we're going to give it a background color. So for the background color, we're going to give it a gray. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to give it a background image. So in most cases, it is preferable you give it a background color before you insert the image, because in cases where the background image doesn't appear, it's failing to load or something else happens, the background color is going to be the next option. So it's preferable you use background color, then you insert a background image. So we're going to give it a background, we insert the URL, go to our images folder and we're going to select our BG image. So just after it, we're going to give it a no repeat, which is going to help the image not to repeat multiple times. So now below it now, we're going to give it a background size, which we're going to use cover, which is going to crop the image so that we should have the main focus of the image. Background position, we're going to use center. So now the main focus of the image is going to be in the center. So now from our browser here, this is actually what we're having here, as you can see it here. So now back to the CSS. Now we're going to target the hero, then we're going to target now our nav. So the first thing we're going to do for the nav, we're going to give it a position, which we're going to use fixed for that. So we want it to be fixed. From the top, we're going to make it to be 0, and from the right, we're also going to make it to be 0. So now the weight, we want it to consume 60% of the weight from the right. Now we're going to give it a breathing space, so we're going to use padding, which we're going to give it a 10 pixel space from top and bottom and 25 pixels from the left and right. So now our list items and our button, we're going to make them to be flexed, so we're going to give it a display of flexed. Align items is going to be center, and now justify content, which we're going to make it to be space between. So there's going to be space between our list items and our button. So now for the hero, we're going to give it a position of relative, because we're going to adjust other things based on position of absolute. So we want it to adjust them based on the parent container, which is the hero. Now we're going to target now the UL, which is holding our list items. You can see here our UL now are block items. They are stacking on top of each other. So now we're going to head back to the CSS and now give them a display of flex. Now they are going to be flex items. We're going to give a space between them, which we're going to use 2rem for that. And for the breathing space between it, we're going to give it a padding of 10 pixel space from the top and bottom and 25 pixels from the left and right. For the background color, we're going to make it to be white. We want the edges to be curved, so we're going to use border radius to be 1em. So
are we ready? Can we handle it?
You guys, I'm too chipped.
This laptop is f***ing crazy.
This thing is fast.
Super fast.
One.
You want silence?
You can't even hear it because it's quiet as a mouse.
This MacBook Pro is supercharged by the M4 family of chips, which means...
I'm excited.
This is cool.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
are you a creative professional, a developer, or just someone that admires technology? Well, look no further, because today I bring to you the MacBook Pro. This sleek powerhouse is not just a laptop. It's a gateway to unparalleled performance, stunning visuals, and an ecosystem designed for productivity. The MacBook Pro has an all-day battery life, so you can be productive wherever you go. It has a magic keyboard with comfortable keys and a responsive trackpad, which make typing a breeze. It has a brand name of Apple, the model name is MacBook Pro, and the screen size is 14.2 inches. For the color, it depends on what you want. The CPU model is Apple M4, and it has a 24GB RAM space with an operating system of Mac OS. If you want more information about this system, the link is in the description box. It will lead you to the Amazon. So actually, this video is not a sponsored video, but an affiliate. Whenever you click and purchase something, I get commission out of it, which is also a way of supporting my channel also. So feel free to check out more information about this system. So with that, now let's head back to our tutorial. This is actually what we're having here as the output. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to target each of the items, which is the text. So now, first we're going to give it a text decoration of num, which is going to take out the underlines we have. Now, we're going to give it a font size. For the font size, it's going to be 1em. And for the font weight now, it's going to be bold. We're going to give the text to have a color of black. So now, we want when you hover on the text, we want some changes to happen. So we're going to copy it, we're going to paste it below, then we're going to add hover on it. So now, when you hover, we're going to give it an underline to appear. There's border block start, which is the top border. There's border block end, which is the bottom border. There's border inline start, which is the left border. And there's the border inline end, which is the right border. So now, because we want the bottom border, we're giving it a border block end, which is the bottom border, which is 2 pixels solid black. As you can see, this is actually what we're having when we hover. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to target now the buttons. So we're going to give it a nav and we're going to target the buttons. So the first thing we're going to do for the button here, we're going to give it a breathing space, which we're going to give it a padding. For the padding here, it's going to be 8 pixel space from the top and bottom and 25 from the left and right. Now we want this button to have a background color, which we're going to use white as the background color. Now for the color of the text in the button here, because the background color is white, now we need to have a different color for the text, which we are going to give it a black. So now for the font weight of this text is going to be bold. We want the edges of the button to be curved, so we're going to give it a 0.8 rem. Now we need a space from the right from each button, so we're going to give it a 10 pixel space. And for the border, we're going to make it to be none. And we want, when you take hover on it, we want the cursor to appear. So as you can see here, this is actually what we're having here. So now we're going to target the second button, which we want it to have a different background color. What we're going to do, we're going to target the button and we're going to give it an end child. Then we're going to select the second button, so we're going to put number 2. If you select number 1, then it's going to select the first button. But in this case, it's the second button that we want to style differently, so we're going to put number 2. So we're going to give it a background color, which for the background color, we want it to have a gray color. And for the text in the button, we want it to have a white. As you can see here, this is actually what we're having here as the output. Now we want, when we hover on the button, we want some changes to happen. So we're going to target the button and we're going to give it a hover. So now when we hover, we want some box shadow to appear. So for the box shadow, first we're going to put insert. That means the box shadow is going to be inside the button, not outside the button, which we insert 0, 0 with a 20 pixel blur and a gray color. This is actually what we're having here. So we're going to add a text, a logo on the center of the page. So what we're going to do here, we're going to head back to the HTML here. So just below this, our nav, we are done with our nav bar. We're going to create a div with a class name of content. Now, within this content here, first we're going to have our logo. We're going to go into our images folder and select our logo PNG. For the alt here, we're going to put logo. So now below this logo here, we're going to have a H1. And the H1 here is going to have a text of let's code. So now below this H1 here is another paragraph. And this paragraph also is going to have a text of let's explore the world of web development. So now this is actually what we're having. This is our logo and this is our text here. So now let's head back and style it. So from the CSS here, now we're going to target the content, which is holding our logo, our page 1 and the paragraph. We're going to give it to be position of absolute. That's the first thing, which we're going to make the top to be 50%. The left also is going to be 50%. So now we're going to adjust it in the center. To do that now, we're going to give it a transform, translate, which we're going to make it to be minus 50%, comma, minus 50%. Now this is going to adjust it in the center. Then we're going to give it a weight. The whole content, we want it to consume just 500 pixels. Then we're going to give it a text align of center. Now all our logo, paragraph, and text are going to be in the center of the content. Now from the browser here, as you can see, this is actually what we're having. Everything is centered. Look at the text, look at the logo. So now we're going to head back here. So the what we're going to do now, we're going to target the content and we're going to target now the logo itself, which is the image. So we're going to give it to consume 200 pixel weight and the height is also 200 pixel. Because we want it to be in a cycle, we're going to give it a border radius, and for the value is we're going to use 50%, which is going to make it to be cycle. Now we need to add border to this our logo. So we're going to give it a border, then we're going to give it a 3 pixel solid with a white color. Now this is actually what we're having. So but let's increase the border. So let's make it to be 5 pixel. So this is actually what we're having, which is a little bit better. Now we're going to target the H1 and the text here below it. So what we're going to do, we're going to target the content. Then we're going to target now the H1. So what we're going to do for the H1 here, we are going to increase the size of the text for the H1, which is 3 rem. Then we're going to give the text to have a color, which we're going to make the color to be white smoke. So now we're going to target now the paragraph, which is below the H1. So the first thing we want, we're going to increase the font size, which we're going to make it to be 1 rem. And then we're going to give it a font width, which is going to be bold. So when we do that now, we're going to give the text to have a color, which we're going to make the color to be black. But now we're going to give it a background color, the whole paragraph to have a background color. Now for the background color, we're going to use RGBA for that, which we want the first color to have a 225, the second to be 225, and the third is going to be 225. For the alpha, which is the opacity, we're going to drop it. Now we're dropping it to be 0.3. The opacity is going to drop to 0.3. Now we want this background to be having a glass effect. So which we're going to use a backdrop filter. Then we're going to give it a blur, which is going to be 20 pixels. Then we're going to give a padding, breathing space, which is going to be 3 pixels from the top and bottom, and 5 pixels space from the left and right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to give it a border radius so that the edges should be a little bit curved, which is 3 pixels. Now this is actually what we just worked on for the paragraph. As you can see it, this is actually what we have. So now here, by this side of the screen, this is where we're going to insert our sidebar. So now we're going to head back to the HTML here. So just below this, our content div, we're going to put an aside tag. So just like this here. So the first thing we're going to do in the aside, we're going to insert a H1, which is going to have a text of Code Dev Academy, just like this here. So now below this H1, we're going to insert our on other list items. Each list item is going to be a link. So for the first list items, we're linking it to nothing, and we're going to give it a text. But now we need to add icons to it. So we're going to head to this website, which is Bugsy Coins. So just here, you're going to click on usage. When you click on usage, you're going to scroll down. Just where you see usage as a font, you're going to stop there. And just below it, you're going to see a link just like this. So you're going to copy it. You're going to head back to your HTML. In the head tag here, you're going to paste it there. Now you have connected the website and your project. So you're going to head back to the website again. So you're going to go to the search bar here, and you're going to search for the icon you want to use. In this case, I'm searching for home. As you can see, I have several home icons here displayed to me. So I'm just going to select on one. So here I'm going to click on font. When I click on it, then I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to head back to my HTML here, and I'm going to paste it where I want it to be. In this case, this is where I want it to be. So I'm going to paste it there. Then I'm going to insert the name of the icon. I'm just going to write dashboard here, just to show you how it works here. In the browser, we're going to have an icon followed by a text. So this is actually what you're going to do for all the number of icons you want to add. So now all of this depends on how many icons you want to add on your sidebar. So in this case here, because I don't want to waste your time seeing me typing all of it, I've already done it. So I'm just going to copy it. I've already copied, so I'm just going to paste it here. So this is actually all I've done. As you can see it, I have an icon and a text. I have a text here and I have an icon. And I have an icon and I have a text. This is all it is. You paste your icon, then you insert your text. So it actually depends on the number of icons you want. But in this case here, as you can see, I have 6 different icons here, which is the dashboard, the contact, notification, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So that's all we have. So from the browser here, as you can see, this is actually what we're having here. So now we need to style it using CSS. So now the first thing we do, we're going to target the aside. We're going to give the aside to have a max width. For the maximum width we want it to consume is 30% of the page. Then we're going to give it a main height, which is going to be 80 VH. Now, what we're going to do now when we do that, we're going to give it a breathing space. So we're going to use padding for that, which is 10 pixels space from the top and bottom, and 5 pixels from the left and right. Now, when we do that now, what we're going to do below it, we're going to give it a background color. Now, for the background color, we're going to use RGBA for that because we are going to drop the opacity, which the first color, the second color, and the third color are all going to be 0. So now for the opacity here, we're going to make it to be 0.2. So then we're going to give it a backdrop filter because we want the background color to have a glass effect. So we're going to give it a blur with a 5 pixel. When we do that now, we're going to make it to be position of fixed because we want it to be fixed in that position, which we're going to make the top 3% space from the top, and from the left is going to be 0. Now we're going to add a box shadow to this our aside. So the first thing is going to be -8 pixel, followed by 0 and 16 pixel blurred. Then we're going to give it a color. For the color, we're using RGBA for that, which is 25, 25, 25 with a 0.3 opacity. Now we're going to give it a border radius because we want the edges to be curved. So for the border radius here, we're going to make it to be 0.5 m. As you can see here, this is actually what we have just worked on. We're going to increase it to VH, which we're going to make it to be 100 VH. Now it's completing the whole screen. So now what we're going to do in the HTML, we're going to target the H1, which contains a text of Code Dev Academy here. So we're going to target the aside, then we're going to target the H1. So the first thing we're going to do for the H1, we're going to give it a background color. For the background color, it's also going to be RGBA, the same color as the box shadow, which is 25, 25, 25 with a 0.3 opacity. Now we need to give it a padding, which is going to be 14 pixels space from the top and bottom, and for the left and right is going to be 10 pixels. For the border radius, because we want it to be curved, we're going to give it a 0.5 m. Now, for the color of the text, which is the Code Dev Academy, we want it to be white. So this is actually what we have just worked on, as you can see here. Now we're going to target now the list items and the icons. So what we're going to do, we're going to target the aside, then we're going to target the li. First, we're going to give it a padding, which is going to be 10 pixels spaced from top and bottom, and for the left and right here is going to be 20 pixels. Now we're going to target the top border and the bottom border. For the top border here, to target it, we're going to give it a border block start, which is 1 pixel solid black. Now we're going to target the bottom border, which is border block end now. With the border block end now is going to be 1 pixel solid, and it's going to be having a gray color. So when we do that now, we're going to give it a cursor of pointer, because when you hover, we want the cursor to appear. Now we're going to give it a transition, because we're going to have some movement, so we want it to move smoothly, which is 0.5 seconds. So this is actually what we have just worked on here. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to target the aside. We want, when we hover on the list items, we want some movement to happen. So we're going to give it a padding. When we hover, we're going to make the padding now to increase. So from 10 pixels space from the top and bottom, and 45 pixels from the left and right. So now when we hover, this is actually what we are having here, as you can see. So now let's increase it to 15, and let's also increase this to 15. So now this is actually what we're having. So now we're going to target the text in the list items, since our texts are links. So we're going to target the link itself. So now we're going to give the text to have a color of white. Then we're going to give it to have a margin from the left, which is going to be 10 pixels. When we do that now, because the links are having underlines, so we're going to give it a text decoration of none. So the underlines are going to disappear. So now this is actually our text here, having a white color, and the underlines are gone. So now when we do that now, we're going to target now the icons. So in the CSS there, we're going to target the aside, then we're going to target the link, then the I, which is the icons. So first we're going to give icons to have a font size, which we're going to make it to be 2 rem. When we do that now, the icons now are 2 rem in size, as you can see. Now we need to give it a space between these icons, between the text and the icon. So we head back. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to give it a margin from the right, which is going to be 30 pixels. So now we're having a 30 pixel space from the text and the icon. As you can see here, this is actually what we're having here. We're going to scroll up here, and we're going to head to the nav, and we're going to increase the weight we want it to consume, which here is 80. We're going to drop it to 70. So when we do that now, our list items for our nav here is directly below our logo, which is actually what we wanted it to be. I just actually noticed it right now. So we want it to be directly below our logo, just like this here. So with that here, this is actually all I have for you for today. With that, we have come to the end of this tutorial, and I hope you have actually gained something out of it. If you have, please give us a feedback, because your feedback is what determines what we create next in our next video. And if you want the source code to this project, the link is in the description box, or check my bio. And if you have enjoyed this video, please like this video. If you have someone that you can share it to, and you feel like this video can help him in some way, please share it to him so that he can actually benefit from it. And if you really enjoyed this video, I believe you're going to like this one appearing in the screen. You'll find the code there. So thank you very much for your time. See you in my next video.